Direct from Las Vegas, we're joined by Keshad Johnson about his Oakland roots, the importance of family, and the intensity that has already made him a fan favorite among Heat fans. All that and more in today's episode of Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your everyday podcast on the Miami Heat. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Odyssey, or your favorite podcast app, thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day, Monday to Friday. I'm Wes Goldberg, editor at allyoucanheat.com, here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We'd be joined today by Keshad Johnson, who signed a two-way contract with the Heat after going undrafted and has been really impressive in Summer League. We talked to him about why Miami was his top choice growing up in Oakland and what fans can expect from him this season. After that, David and I will discuss what the Heat should do with their two-way contracts and whether Isaiah Stevens and Josh Christopher have done enough to take one of those spots. But we're going to start with Keshad Johnson. Let's jump in. Excited to be joined by Keshad Johnson, who's becoming a popular player among Heat fans with his performance at Summer League. First, thanks so much for joining us. There's a bunch of stuff that I want to get to with you here, but I'm going to start off with a softball. I was going through your Instagram feed. It looks like you have a different pair of Jordans on in every single picture. So I just want to ask, how many pairs of Jordans do you currently own? Do you have a favorite?
I would say I got about 20 pair of Jordans. Do I have a favorite pair? I don't have a favorite pair. It all depends on the aesthetic of the day, whether I want to go low socks or high socks, shorts or sweats, It's a lot that go into it.
You can't pick a favorite. It's like picking a favorite kid. You just can't do it. It's
Exactly.
Well, like I said, there's a bunch of stuff I want to get to. I want to get to Summer League. I want to get to your thoughts about the Heat now that you've been a part of the team. But let's just start with your pre-draft process, your pre-draft workout in Miami. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Who was there? What did they make you do? Did you think that you performed well enough for them to even target you?
Who was there in my group? Me and Isaiah Stevens, we was both present within that workout. Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra was there along with the rest of the staff and everything. But in terms of performance, I think I did my job. I'll say I did my job. I didn't make every shot, but I did my job. I came in as if it was a job interview, which it is. Each and every day you go out there and put a jersey on and roll the ball out. I showed my energy, I showed my personality and everything like that, and that's real authentic, It's not just me going in there knowing that I have to do this. I really take pride in just showing who I am as a person each and every day, along as a basketball player. And I feel like Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, they've been doing their job for a long time now, so they know what's real and what's not. And I think that's what ended up letting me be able to get the chance to put a Miami Heat jersey on again.
You talked about doing your job. Is it just bringing energy and bringing intensity every time you step onto the floor? Because that seems like a big part of what defines you, and it has defined you so far in your Summer League run.
Oh, of course. Bringing energy, intensity, whatever it takes. Doing my job. All the miscellaneous things, making sacrifices out there on the court.
Yeah.
Holding people accountable, whatever it takes to. That's what I like to say. It's not just one thing that determines who I am as a leader or as a player in general.
Yeah. On draft day, you talked about your best quality being your toughness. And you said that just the toughness that you bring out into the floor was what you thought was your best quality. How do you kind of bring that toughness, that intensity that you were just talking about, and at the same time still try to develop those skills that you need to be able to produce at a high level, at an NBA level?
I don't even know how I do it, honestly. I'm big on my faith, so I pray a lot. Just asking God to give me the right answers to the task. Whatever it takes. Just help me make the right decision and do the right thing. Give me the strength and courage to get out there, dive on that ball. Get the 50-50 balls and everything. Be able to really bump and box out. Even when I'm guarding bigger guys and everything. Go into it with a David versus Goliath mentality every step of the way.
Nice.
I'm watching you in Summer League, and it's just like you are holding the turbo button the entire game, all the time. Have you always played like that? And where does that come from?
Mm-hmm. I always play like that. Where it come from, I don't know. It's in my blood. If it came from my parents are superheroes. Came from being born and raised in the city of Oakland, California, and everything like that. So real kudos to just the life I had growing up. That determines my mentality. Me not taking nothing for granted, and me just trying to give my all each and every step of the way.
Were your parents athletes?
Yeah, my mom played a little bit in high school. My dad played in junior college and everything. I got a lot of people, a lot of cousins and stuff like that. That's just natural born athletes too.
Who gave you the nickname Showtime? Was that a you thing, or did that come from somebody else?
Thing, right? High school.
It came in high school. Me and a group of my friends. We was just giving each other nicknames and everything. It was a part of the brotherhood and everything. So at the age of 14, freshman year, we was just giving each other nicknames, and Showtime stuck. Showtime stuck just with me being athletic, my outgoing personality and everything like that. So it just had a great ring to it, and I feel like that defined me. That it stuck. That's me.
Yep.
You talked about your family a little bit. What was it like having them in the stands when you made your Summer League debut a couple of weeks ago?
I mean, it was supposed to be a closed-out game with no fans or nothing like that. I guess that means exception of my family. They found a way. So it really felt like a home game. They helped us out there. We end up getting all the energy from the crowd, my family, and we had on the opposing jerseys. So
nice.
Yeah, I just love my family. My family, they're gonna find a way. That's one thing about the Johnson family. They coming out.
You talked about the Oakland area roots there. Do you have a favorite Oakland player that might be somebody who defines your game or somebody you looked up to? I know Monte Ellis was the guy that you always looked up to. Yeah. And I've heard that LeBron might be your favorite player of all time. Is that still correct?
So, yeah, LeBron, my favorite player of all time. The person that made me love basketball is Monte Ellis. Another one of my favorite players is Stephen Curry, just by the impact that he had in the Bay Area growing up and everything. One player I try to model my game as, just like Oakland player, is Andre Iguodala. Him being also a Wildcat and everything like that. Him going out there, just the impact he got on the basketball game when he go out there on the hardwood, just making plays, making things happen. Andre, he's a jack of all trades for real. So that's just a person that I always he's athletic, he got nice defense, and he just do spectacular stuff. So yeah, Andre is somebody that I used to look up to growing up.
Former Miami Heat player Andre Iguodala too.
Mm-hmm.
So you wore number 0 at San Diego State. Was that because of Oakland? Was that the O for Oakland?
Yes, sir. O for Oakland.
And then you wore 16 at Arizona. That was your brother's jersey number, correct?
Correct. See, my brother was in high school. His high school name was the West Oakland Heat. So it's all coming around the full circle. So he wore number 16 for the Heat, and I'm gonna be wearing number 16 for the Heat.
Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your car alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, or LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay guaranteed fit only available to U.S. customers. We'll be right back.
Just to switch gears here for a second, I mean, I was reading some of the stories that were written about you before the draft, and you and your brother have an incredible story. If you wouldn't mind sharing that for our listeners who might have not heard that, I mean, it's pretty remarkable what you guys have gone through.
See, I have 4 brothers, 1 sister. I'm the youngest of them all. But the brother that's closest to me in age, at the age of 14, when I was 10 years old, one Sunday morning, November 11th, November 6th, 2011, he was a victim of gun violence. You know, he was shot 10 times. And there was 35 shell cases on the ground. So, by the grace of God, he's still out here on this earth walking and everything. When the event first happened, the doctor said he'd never be able to walk again. But now he's being able to walk with the help of crutches. You know, the doctor don't always have the last say so. I feel like God has the last say so in every which way. So he's still playing basketball. He played wheelchair basketball for the Golden State Road Warriors and everything. So last year, 2 years ago, when I was in the March Madness championship, he had just won the wheelchair association basketball championship the day before. You know, so one of us came home with the championship. He's the winner in that sense. But yeah, we both still pushing. You know, I'm living out his dream of being able to run and jump and out there with the basketball, and he's still living his dream of just playing the game of basketball. You know, at the end of the day, we both each other inspiration and motivation.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, how that much? What did he say to you when you got signed by the Heat? How has he been in your ear sort of during summer league now?
Yeah, I mean, he's just my support system. You know, he told me he loved me and everything, and I told him that I'm living this journey for both of us. Like you living this journey with me. You know, that name Johnson 16 on the back. Let alone it was West Oakland Heat at the time. Now it's Miami Heat. So just that Heat Johnson 16. That's representing both of us. You know,
it's amazing.
It's tremendous. Incredible story, really inspirational. And thank you for sharing it. I know you've talked about it before, but it's great for our fans and listeners to hear. You know, you talked a lot about Heat culture. You talked about wanting to be a Heat culture guy. For somebody who grew up in Oakland, played collegiately in Arizona and San Diego, what are your thoughts about what Heat culture is? Because obviously a lot of Heat fans know about it, having followed the team for a long time, but maybe for somebody on the outside like you, what do you think is Heat culture in your opinion?
Heat culture is pretty much earning everything you got and giving nothing. So just lock in and get the job done. Going to work each and every day. You know, be contagious. You know, help others out. Be selfless. Along with making it happen yourself. Finding a way.
Yeah. And when you talked about sorry, go ahead, David.
No, I was just gonna say when you talked about signing with Miami, did you have other teams that you might have been interested in joining, and why exactly did you choose Miami? Because it couldn't have just been the weather. I know the weather's nice and all, but it wasn't just the weather.
Nah, I wasn't no other team. Honestly, it was just Miami Heat. Right. I knew, me and my agent, we knew the best place. You know, we knew the best place. Of course, just me being the guy I am, I feel like I would have been able to fit in wherever I was at, and wherever I was at, I'm gonna always give my all, no matter what situation I'm in. But Miami Heat is for me for sure. It wasn't no other team that I was really looking forward to.
What have you been able to take away from being around a guy like Jaime, who, similar to you, is 100% all the time, running up and down the floor, wants to play in transition, wants to play fast? What has it been like being around him for those couple of games? And I know Udonis Haslem has been around, Duncan Robinson has been around. What have you been able to talk to all those guys about?
So, me and Jaime, we actually knew each other for a decent while now. We played on the same AAU team for a couple of sessions. I believe my 17U year. You know, we played with the Truth EYBL under Paul Pierce and his program and everything. So me and Jaime, we got familiar with each other a little bit then. We played like briefly with each other then, and throughout college, you know, I matched up with him a lot. You know, so I know how greedy of a person he is and everything. And now I would say he's my vet. You know. He's my vet, and I'm open to learn anything from anybody. You know, he's been in the league. He's had his success in the league for the past year and everything like that. So anytime he has any any like advice or anything, I'm more than open to hearing from it. So you'll probably hear like a little mic'd up segment from him. Just him being a leader and everything, just by experience, and I'm here for it all.
What are you
Nice.
looking forward to at the NBA level, versus whether it's getting your own mic'd up game, or is there a specific matchup, a specific player that you're looking forward to defending, or anything that comes to mind? Like, yeah, I know you're in the thick of summer league now, but when the NBA season is here, what's that thing you keep kind of thinking about?
I'm really just thinking about being out there on that floor and just seeing the smiles on kids' faces and everything like that. Like, say when I go back to my hometown, Oakland, again, to play against the Warriors or something like that, and I just see like little familiar kids like that just was just like me growing up and everything. Just being able to motivate people by showing that I'm actually in the NBA and I'm here to stay. And like, I came from being undrafted. I came from a small high school. I came from being overlooked in the politics in high school AAU basketball. I wasn't really ranked high or nothing like that. So I'm just looking forward to really showing people the product of success of where I came from. I'm just a product of my environment. So just looking forward to being a motivator and inspiration.
You played with you had your connection to Jaime that you mentioned, but you also played with Pelle Larson, obviously in Arizona. So does that make things a little bit more comfortable that you've got a kind of familiarity with a couple of the guys that you share the summer league roster with?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I'm comfortable no matter where I'm at, though. But just knowing that I got somebody that has proven that they'll run through a wall for me, I just know I'm
Yeah.
gonna be able to do the same. So that's always a comfort to have in the back of your mind. You see Pelle out there making a lot of plays, taking charges out there, and he's very fiery.
Yeah.
He's just not your typical guy that's just can play making everything. He can get out there and get grimy and make defenders. And make the offensive player a little shaky and everything. He could get into the ball and to be very disruptive and everything, as we see in Pelle Larson.
Yeah.
We've got like a little bit of this like Pac-12 takeover in Miami right now between you guys from Arizona. You got Jaime from UCLA. Like, I don't know what's going
Kevin
on.
Love?
Nah,
You know,
yeah,
Khalil Ware played at Oregon for that 1 year too.
yeah,
You
we
kind
got
of put him in there.
a lot of Pac-12 going on, but also don't forget about the Mountain West. I spent 4 years in the Mountain West, and Isaiah Stevens.
Yes.
Him being a leader at Colorado State. I played against him a lot. Just by the way he made the game easy for whoever's around him, and me being on the other end of it, me being being able to receive the reward from him just being my point guard. Don't overlook the Mountain West either. So we was greedy in the Mountain West too. So shout out to Isaiah Stevens in the Mountain West.
The West coming out east. All right. Last thing for you, Keshad. We really appreciate the time. Like you already mentioned, Pelle being an old teammate of yours. Spill some tea for us here. What's something that we don't know, that the fans don't know about Pelle yet? Maybe something that he doesn't even want us to know, but give us something. Give us something here.
I would say Pelle is a character. Like, I feel like he haven't really got a chance to show us the type of character he do. So I don't know when this segment is going to air or whatever the case may be, but I'm gonna try to get in his ear. At Arizona, he do this thing like he'll take a charge, and after his charge, he'll do like this, like I got you, kind of like. So I'm gonna try to get in his ear and tell him to bring that out one day and everything. So we're gonna see how more of a charismatic character that Pelle is.
Nice. I love it. Keshad, it was a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. Good luck the rest of Summer League, and we'll talk to you when you're back in Miami, huh?
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Look, we all love sports. We love them so much, we never want them to stop. But the playoffs have wound down. We get fewer games now, and the sports just aren't sportsing like you want them to. But FanDuel lets you keep the sports going whenever you want, because all you have to do is open the app, and you can dream up bets anytime you're in the mood, whether it's Major League Baseball, WNBA, you name it. You'll find it over at FanDuel. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking us all up, all customers, with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. We'll be right back.
Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Let us know in the comments section what you thought of Keshad Johnson's interview. What stood out to you about his story? We were so delighted to be joined by him. He was very charismatic, very high energy.
Yeah.
Just the way like he plays. He talks the same way he plays, just bringing it. Always bringing it.
I love that. Like the intensity, like the idea that that's just what he always, that how he sees himself, how he defines himself is by bringing that energy on a night-to-night basis. And it just seems like he is such a good fit for this culture. We talked about it even before the draft, but even immediately, like once he started playing and making an impact, you see, oh, okay, this is a guy who fits right in. And it just seems like a guy that you could kind of develop and kind of, help him reach that next level. And that's something that the Heat coaching staff really takes pride in, is being able to get those diamonds in the rough and be able to sharpen them into a next level NBA player. So, best of luck to him. Hopefully it works out, but he's got a lot of business ahead of him though.
He does. I mean, he projects as sort of a 3-and-D type of forward. If he's able to replace Caleb Martin, all these things, I think all of that is pretty premature. We're still talking about an undrafted rookie who's played only in a handful of summer league games so far. Yeah. The shot still needs to come around. If he's going to be in the NBA for a long time, he's got to shoot 35, 36, 37% from three-point range. The Heat have done wonders with broken jump shots, and I would not consider Keshad Johnson's jump shot broken, but it's not where it needs to be yet. And he's been very open about that, and I think the Heat coaching staff has been very open about that. But you know what? The one thing that the Heat continue to develop and put money into and time into and invest into is guys like Keshad Johnson who are willing to do the work, willing to be humble, and are bringing that kind of energy and all of those kinds of things and embrace the Heat culture and stuff. So we don't know if it's going to work out. Nobody does. But I think it's a pretty good bet based on what we've seen so far and what we know about Keshad Johnson. And again, it was a great interview, and we're fans of his over here. So let's get into what it is that the Heat can do with these two-way contract spots. So Keshad has locked up one of those two-way spots. That's safe to say. That's going to leave two.
I don't think it's a guarantee, right? I mean, we'd like to believe it is, and it seems pretty likely. I'd say his chances are good, but they could do an about face. Like we talked about this possibility in yesterday's episode, but you've got Cole Swider and Alondas Williams who aren't currently on two-way contracts, but if you feel like they're further along or have already bought into the quote-unquote Heat system further than what Keshad is, you might consider bringing them back, and that kind of leaves Keshad fighting for one of the last three spots available. I'm just saying it's a possibility. However remote it might be, it's something to think about.
Sure, it's fair. And, you never know how the rest of the Summer League is going to go and all these things and whatever. But I would say I feel pretty good, 99% chance he's got one of those two-way spots at this point.
That's strong.
The Heat like him. They targeted him for a reason. So let's we could debate that or not. But that, I think Keshad we could call him the front runner right now for a two-way spot. I think that's fair. And that's going to leave two more spots for the Heat to decide on. Currently, they have Zion Pullen, who was the undrafted guard out of Florida, who they also signed as an undrafted free agent to a two-way contract, just like they did with Keshad Johnson. They also brought back Drew Smith into one of those spots, but they're able to change these two-way spots out at any time without impacting the cap. So these just swap them anytime you want, whenever you want. Drew Smith has not played in Summer League because he's still rehabbing from that knee injury from last year. It's really serious, and we haven't seen him. Pullen, you could argue, has been outplayed by Isaiah Stevens, another point guard on Miami's Summer League roster. So you got all that happening. Meanwhile, over here, you got Josh Christopher, who just scored 20 points in the fourth quarter of Monday night's blowout Summer League win for the Heat over the Thunder, and it looks like he's making a run for one of these spots also. So how do you think the Heat should handle this? Because I'm looking at my list. We already mentioned the names, but there's 3 two-way contract spots.
Yep.
I've got 6 guys who can make a reasonable claim. You know what? 7 guys who can make a reasonable claim to those 3 spots. Keshad Johnson.
I'd like to hear that list. Yeah, okay.
Keshad Johnson, Isaiah Stevens, Josh Christopher, Zion Pullen, Drew Smith, Cole Swider, and Alondas Williams. And I can already hear it. Heat fans will be like, why are you putting Drew Smith on that list? He has no business being on that list. All I know is that the Heat keep bringing this dude back. So I am not taking him off of any short list, long list, or whatever. That guy is very much in the conversation because he has been for like 3 years now. So that's my list. 7 guys for 3 two-way spots.
Yeah, I had the first 6 minus Drew. And I think the Drew signing, and I'm not like this is just a theory on my part. I think it's mostly financial. I think he gets to recoup a little bit of the money for being under this contract since the point he signed it from when he's likely released from that contract. I just can't see the team.
You think they're just doing him a solid?
I think so. They've done it before. They've done it before, specifically like that.
There might be some truth to that. I also think this is their way of keeping them in-house. They didn't know what all these guys were going to be doing. When they started signing these guys to two ways, they said, okay, let's bring Drew Smith in. We can make sure that we can
go the Sioux Falls route. Yeah.
And while we're looking at all these other things too, right? Like Josh Christopher didn't have any options for a regular contract spot. He might after Summer League, but at the time he didn't. So, and you know, you could say that about a couple of different guys here. So I think it was. I don't think that there's that much to read into it. In other words.
No, yeah, I think they can keep him. They can keep him as part of the system without having him be under a two-way contract. I think the two ways are too important, given where they are at in terms of their roster construction. The fact that they're going to go through injuries. Like we saw guys play on two ways last year, and that was with more depth on this roster. I think before as players started going in and out of the lineup and due to injury, then all of a sudden you're kind of looking to these two ways, especially with training camp right around the corner too, or at least a month and a half away or so. So, I think
and
it's
only 14 guys on the roster also. So the Heat also rely on these 3 two-way guys. No, when I meant keeping Drew Smith on, keeping tabs on Drew Smith, I just meant at the time, like over the summer. Yeah. And that was just a way of, okay, let's just build this out. I think they always viewed all 3 two-way contracts, regardless of who was filling them at the time, as open competition, and somebody's going to win them in Summer League. So where would you go with this? I think you and I would both have Keshad Johnson in one of those. If we had to decide, if we had to make this decision now, which again, the Heat don't have to make this decision now. But where do you think they should go with this?
I don't entirely know. I really don't. I'm torn because I feel like Cole Swider, like he has such a specialized area. Like there are deficiencies, as much as we hate to say it, there are deficiencies in his games that make him a liability, but his strengths are so overwhelmingly strong. Like he is such a good shooter, has shown that he's a good shooter, maybe not at the NBA level, but certainly it's in Sioux Falls and certainly in Summer League and stuff like that. Like that skill is something. Yeah. I mean, there's no denying that. So whether it isn't translated into NBA games. Yeah. He
has the best singular skill of any of the guys we've
That's mentioned. What it is. Everybody else has potential, drive, motor, whatever you want to call it. Like Josh Christopher, he shot well on Monday, but he didn't shoot well in Sioux Falls. And he has not shot well up to this point in his NBA career. Maybe we're seeing the next evolution there. Right. And he's athletic and he's a good wing player and he brings defense at a high level, et cetera. So there's a lot to like about his performance. But at the same time, he does not have that one direct translatable skill that is clearly better than anybody else, which is what Cole does have. He's a shooter.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit? Can we stay on Christopher? Yes. So he's the big name here, and I think a lot of Heat fans are going to say, well, we got to get him a two-way. The guy just scored 20 points in the fourth quarter of a Summer League game. Right. Watching that game, Josh Christopher was making shots that Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant took at the NBA level. That guy was taking falling away three-pointers from the corner. He ain't getting those shots at the NBA level. So for the Heat, it's one thing for you to show out in Summer League. It's another thing to say, all right, what if this is scalable for us? What can we add? And when I say scalable, it doesn't always mean scale up, right? Josh Christopher right now is playing a scaled up version of what his role would be in the NBA. How can we scale this down? Can he be impactful in a role there? And I think Josh Christopher is saying all the right things, and I think he's working on all the right things. And the Heat coaching staff has been working with him since May on things like his defense and his shot. He's 6'4" with a 6'9" wingspan, crazy athletic, which we have seen. That athleticism does not go away. But can he be impactful as this 3-and-D kind of roaming off-the-ball player? He has talked about it. He needs to be more of an off-the-ball player. Josh Christopher was a first-round pick in 2021. He was a highly recruited player out of high school. This guy has been on the ball for a majority of his NBA, or I should say his basketball life. But he is not that player in the NBA, and he's coming to terms with that. But can he thrive in that role? That's the question. I have no idea. That's the question that the Heat have to ask. It almost means nothing to me that he scored 20 points in the fourth quarter of a Summer League game. As cool as it was, and it was cool. Like it was a sick Summer League eruption. It was fun to watch. but it almost tangibly means nothing in terms of
Right,
what that means at the NBA level.
No, yeah, it's the what he's shown up to this point, what he showed last year, and what they see in practices and things of that sort. Like that,
Right.
I think much matters more. Like that, it manifested in one game. To your point, looks great, really nice, cool, whatever. But it's all about the work behind it. Like even when talking about Keshad, like New Sioux Falls head coach Dan Bisaccio talked about like all the work that he's done, all the practice he's been putting in, the intensity he brings, and if anything, I think that's kind of what helps Keshad lock in a two-way moving forward. Is that all the work? This is the Heat system. They like their guys to put in their work, to have to show it in order to be able to earn whatever it is that they get moving forward.
And you could picture Keshad Johnson at the NBA level, just flying down the floor in transition, getting rebounds, like all these things. Like that stuff is directly translates to what he's going to do at the NBA level. Keshad Johnson, even in Sioux Falls, doesn't have the ball in his hands very much, other than finishing plays with a dunk and running like as a roller and some pick and roll stuff. They're playing him at small ball center a little bit in summer league. It's just been like that stuff to me makes more sense. So I have Josh Christopher on my short list. I'm not saying that he's not going to get a two-way.
No,
right? Like I said, I think he is doing the right things, but I also have Isaiah Stevens on here. I mean, this guy,
he's the one guy I don't have on my list. I think he does not get a two-way moving forward, but I go ahead and present your case for why you think he should.
Well, I don't have him on. I don't know that I have him on my two-way. I just have him on my short list. I think it was
okay.
So,
no.
But I don't know. So here's the thing. Yes, he's small. Yes, he's old. Right? He's 24. Right? He's 5-year, 6-year collegiate player, whatever it was. 5-year player. He just knows how to play basketball, and I can't escape that. And I think the Heat, I think that matters to them. I also wonder if they say, you know what, in a break glass in case of emergency type situation where Terry Rozier gets hurt and we don't have another traditional point guard who we trust to make decisions with the ball in his hand. And I don't even care about him being a point guard or a shooting guard or a center or whatever. I don't care. But another player who we trust to make good decisions with the ball in his hand, Isaiah Stevens makes good decisions. Now, he's 6'0". He's going to get trapped. It's going to be easy to kind of get the ball out of his hands at the NBA level, but I also don't see teams targeting him that way. And I do think that I think he's got just such great feel for the game. I don't know. Between him and Zion Pullen, he's outplayed Pullen. Pullen at least has the size at 6'4"-ish, where it's not as much of a deficit. But I don't think there's any doubt that Isaiah Stevens is the better basketball player pound for pound. But that's also not how the NBA works. So I don't know. I can go either way on this, but he's been so impressive. And his feel for the game, his understanding for the game, it is such a high level already.
It works for what happens next, in terms of like, you have to be able to, again, show your work. Like you have to be able to say what you've done behind the scenes, but also it has to manifest. It has to be able to be demonstrated at a high level. Like he's starting over Pullen. So I think that matters. I think the way, if I were to speak for the Heat coaching staff and what they're seeing right now, the hierarchy of those two is probably Stevens ahead of Pullen. But I also think, given what we've talked about a lot over the last few weeks, is that Miami's kind of moving away from having a specific point guard. They're not going to keep Drew Smith because he's not playing well. They don't need to keep either Pullen or Stevens. And so if I'm looking at who Miami's going to keep on their 3 two-ways, I don't think either of them get it. I don't think Pullen, who currently has it, nor Stevens, as well as he's played. I think he'll be more beneficial at Sioux Falls, where he can be almost like a direct extension of Bisaccio and the coaching staff, because he does such a good job of setting the table for everybody else, which is not something that he needs to do at the NBA level. And it is important. I'm not dismissing it altogether. And I know a lot of Heat fans say,
to your point, that's not going to be his role. The two-way guy is not your point guard on your NBA roster. No, it's a great point. It's not one that I thought. I just maybe assumed that they were just going to have one of these point guards in one of their two ways, because the Heat have pretty much done that. They've always kind of kept like a nominal point guard on one of these two ways, but you're absolutely right. They don't have to. Part of the calculus here also is, which one of these guys do we not have to have on a two-way? And we feel pretty good that they're not going to get picked up by another team.
Right.
And Isaiah Stevens has had an impressive summer league, but he is 6'0". And maybe there isn't an opportunity out there. Like you might, like the risk of being like, okay, we're impressed with you, but we don't need to have you on a two-way because we don't think that another team is going to pick you up. So we feel pretty safe with you just being in our G League team.
Yeah, take a chance.
That could be the route that they go. Whereas somebody like Cole Swider or Alondis Williams, who have played NBA games, right? You might feel a little bit more of a need to bring them onto your two-way if they don't get a standard roster spot somewhere else, which obviously can happen while they're not on these two-ways, which currently they are free agents. They're not on a two-way. So if I feel like I should press, but I don't know that I need to. I don't know. Like, do you have a favorite for the 3 spots?
Yeah, I think right now, I think Christopher, I think Johnson, and I'd have to say one of Swider or Williams, because you can make a case for either. Because again, both of them have been part of the system for a while now, and you could justify Alondis as saying, you know what, we're making him into our de facto point guard, so at least we still kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, sort of a wingish 2 guard at the same time, also a sort of point guard that you can kind of trust. And you can have him as a 2-way guy, and you kind of take a chance that maybe Cole might be viewed as, you know what, if the Heat can't coach him up and can't get him to play defense at a high level, then what chance does any other team have? Like, he's one of those guys, like you said, you might take a risk and saying, you know what, we'll kind of leave him exposed, not have him as a 2-way guy, and kind of hope for the best, and maybe he'll just continue to develop at Sioux Falls. Or
the thing
eventually,
with Cole
yeah,
is he's an elite 3-point shooter, but the Heat already have 2 elite 3-point shooters with Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. And unless they don't, like, Duncan Robinson's under contract for another 2 years.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero's under contract for another 3 years. It's, you know, you might say, like, as much as we like Cole Swider, we just don't have a spot for him. Like, that makes any sense, unless the Heat think that maybe they'll have a spot somewhere going forward, or maybe I'm galaxy braining this thing and it doesn't matter and you can never have enough 3-point shooters, and maybe it's that simple. I don't know, but
you can have
it's
one-dimensional 3-point shooting. Yeah, that's the whole thing.
That's the thing.
It's like you have to bring something else.
It's going to be a tough decision for the Heat to make. They don't have to make it now. We've got a few more summer league games to go. We got all of training camp to go. We're probably not going to know until the beginning of the season who ends up taking these 2 ways, and this could still change in the middle of the season. That's the other thing that the Heat can do.
Teams could be offering a 2-way to any of the guys on their roster right now, right? Like, they could pluck any of these guys that are not currently signed to a 2-way.
That'll do it for us today. Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on your podcast app.